Hello everyone and welcome back to the YOS 3v3 stream. We are on day 2 with just the top 4 rounds to go. Top 4 is due to kick off at 2 PM, so we've got another about 10 minutes to go from there. Let's take a quick look at who is in our top 4. So, standings after Swiss, in first place put Luxury x Gabe Nation into first place with 5 team wins and 0 team losses. Then in second place, The Disciples, and third, You Needs This, both going x1 into the final round, or following the final round of Swiss. And then we had the usual bunch of x2s, and you can see the tiebreakers there for the opponent's wins. That percentage pushing the 2-meter rule just into top cut, just ahead of Fun and Interactive, following the other matches that we saw before. So we do expect the rounds to be kicking off very shortly, and we've got some great commentators back on again today. It's going to be Hash and Orion doing the commentary for this one. Very excited to see just how the top 4 matches go. So we'll show you the top 4 at about 2 PM, and then hopefully that'll wrap up by about 3 PM, so in about an hour and 10, and then we'll immediately move on to the final of the YOS 3v3. So we've just got a couple more things to set up before the round kicks off, so I'll leave you with the music and we'll come back when Hash and Orion are ready to take us through the top 4 match. just to tie you guys over for the next 5 minutes while the players are getting themselves ready, let's take another look at the standings after Swiss. So this does not include the second page of the other entrants and the dropped players. So, going into top 4, currently in first place is Luxury X Gabe Nation with 5 wins and 0 losses. Remember that these are best of 3 wins. So, not every player in Luxury had to win every single match, but overall they had to win out of the 3 players. So Luxury X Gabe Nation moving into first place, 5 wins, 0 losses, 15 points, and a very strong 80% win percentage. Then the Disciples in second place, 4-1, and then with a win percentage of 73%, also extremely high. I think typically you'd say anything above 60-70 is phenomenal. Then Ewan Needs This, also in top 4 with a 4-1 record, with a 60% win rate and the 12 points necessary to guarantee a spot in top 4. Followed up by the 2 meter rule, our highest placing X2 when you account for the tiebreakers there, with a very slim margin, with their opponent win percentage pushing them just ahead. This is using the standard battle fight tie-breaking system. So if you're unfamiliar, give it a quick Google and it will give you some more information on that. But those are the stats moving into the top 4, and pairings will be announced very shortly, and then we'll get the commentary guys on, and it's going to be a good one.
Hi guys, welcome back to the 3v3 YOS. This is day 2. Um, we have cut into the top 4 teams in this event. I'm Hash, and I'm joined by Orion for one more time. And we're going to be featuring Gabriel Nats from the Disciples playing against um, a player by the name of Ben Hodgson from Team E1 Needs This. So, Orion, what are your thoughts about this matchup?
Uh, well, I think it's pretty obvious what Nets is playing. I'm not sure what his opponent's playing.
Yeah,
But just knowing the format, it's probably a combo mirror, so see how it goes.
yeah, pretty good chance that it is indeed a combo mirror. So what are your thoughts on this top 4 cut in general? We have like 4 different teams. The 2 that we're currently featuring, in addition to the Luxury X Gabe Nation team, which we featured earlier, as well as the 2 meter rule team, which we featured earlier.
I think it's about what you expect looking at the teams that entered. Pretty surprised for the Disciples at top, performing really well in online tournaments lately.
Yeah, that's quite true. Something quite funny to note. Both top 4 pairings played against each other in Swiss. So I'm pretty sure all of them know what they're playing against.
Yeah, it was same ABC for Swiss, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, so Ben gets to go first. Starts with Analyzer. That's a good start.
Yeah, so he's gonna make combo mirror.
Yup.
It's pretty unsurprising.
Think about
the breakdown. It's a lot of combo decks.
That's true. The thing about Nets' deck though is that he does play hand traps. So the Analyzer is went with the Ash Blossom, which is not enough to stop Ben here because he has Researcher.
Yeah, that's when you see another hand trap coming down.
Yeah, I mean, Nibiru is going to be very, very impactful here if he does have it because he's already used the Researcher.
Yeah, once you use the Researcher, you can't really play around Nibiru anymore.
Mm-hmm. This is why I'm definitely not a fan of using Researcher early, but I'm assuming that he had no other option. So
yeah,
it's
you just have to
understandable.
sometimes.
He's going to go for the Gallant Granite. The Gallant Granite resolving here is obviously like pretty good because it guarantees Block Dragon access. However, since he used the Researcher early, the Block Dragon in itself isn't going to do that much. He's going to have to play a bit awkwardly in order to get the setup that he needs to do in order for him to maximize the potential of what Block Dragon can do here.
So your only summon left is Seeker, but you just can't really get an Adamantipator on board to summon a Seeker.
Mm-hmm. You could do like a weird play with Metal Marcher to revive Analyzer there and then keep the Analyzer on the field.
Yeah, that should be what he goes for.
Mm-hmm. That allows Hulky Fabrics to resolve. So at this point, I think it's fair to assume that the only hand trap he could possibly have at this point is Nibiru.
Yeah, I think he has to have it. If he doesn't have it, it's gonna be really tough to come back in this game.
Mm-hmm. But you know, the thing with Nets' deck is that it's just a bunch of broken like dragon cards. So all he needs to do is just 1/4/1 away his opponent's field, and then eventually just resolve Romulus. And once he resolves Romulus, he can like scuff out a Buster Lock, and then Adamantipator literally can't out it.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about the Buster Lock is really strong going second. Because normally in combo mirrors you need to win the game going second. Having the Buster Lock means all you need to do is get to Carrier and Savage and you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to actually kill your opponent.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it doesn't even have to be Savage. You can equip it to a Boral Sword, which is also like really, really tough to out because the Boral Sword is 4,000, turns something to defense, and it can't be destroyed by battle.
Yeah, just no outs of that in the standard Adamantipator list.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
His normal out is the what's the rock monster that sets a monster face down?
Dark Crusader?
Yeah, so you just flip the Boral's face down. Can't do that on Boral's sword.
Yeah, but you can like use its second effect to bounce the Buster Whelp equip to your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
Alright, so he is going for the play where he revives an Emancipator monster off Metal Marcher. We'll see if this is because he wants to keep a Life Seeker or if it's because of a different reason. He goes for the Herald here, so Nats doesn't have any Bureau. There's no way. Which
Yeah, so
means...
rest of this combo should definitely be resolving.
Mm-hmm. This looks like it's not going to be his game. We'll see what happens game 2, but it's looking pretty bad for him now.
Yeah, at this point you kind of rare to not even have drawn the Ash. Really all it did is -1 home in hand.
Yeah. I mean, we will have to wait and see how much of an impact the Ash put, because it did force Ben to use Researcher early. But I think what he's going to go for here is a Link 2 to trigger Block Dragon. And now when he searches the Seeker, he can just play his deck normally since he has a Researcher on the field.
How do you feel about playing the Rocket deck over something like Adamantipator?
I think something that a lot of people like, a trap that a lot of people fall into when they think about Rocket is they start comparing it to an Emancipator, which I feel like isn't a fair comparison, because like you really can't compare any combo deck that has existed in this game's history to Emancipator. I don't feel like there has been something that is this resilient in a very long time, if ever. But the thing with the Rocket deck is that although it's like not as resilient or has as high of a ceiling as Rock, it has room for flexibility, it has room for improvement, and it's what is very important is that it can like fit in hand traps while also just like reliably knowing that you can play hand traps and still see your engine and or snowball with it, which is something that Emancipator cannot do. So you could argue that that's like what gives it an edge in some combo mirrors.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That's kind of just the problem with Adamantipator. You start playing like 6-9 hand traps, you just lose all your resiliency. Which is what makes the deck so strong.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to fit in more than 5 hand traps in the Emancipator.
Yeah, because once you draw too many going first, and they're not extenders, you just lose games to hand traps.
It's very weird as well, because like what the Rocket deck can do is even if it loses to hand traps because it opened hand traps, you just hand trap your opponent back and then you get going again. But in the Rock deck, if you like get hand trapped on Fibrax and you pass on Fibrax and you have a couple of hand traps in hand, it's actually really hard to generate follow-up from that point, because chances are they're gonna attack over your Fibrax, you're gonna hand trap them, but they're still going to be playing their deck. So the hand traps are like not going to be nags per se, but they're still not going to be as good as like potential extenders that could have been in your hand in that case. So it's like really hard to recover after your turn 1 gets stopped, especially after you have less cards in hand because you used hand traps.
Yeah, it's really hard to come back from just not having any cards in Rock. You have like no 1-card starters like the Rocket deck has.
Right, so he's going for the Boral Savage, the Herald. It's pretty standard stuff here. Probably going to see an Appaloosa coming down eventually.
Pretty standard inboard.
I don't think he's gonna have the IP though.
Yeah, I think missing one of his excavates hurt a bit.
Yeah, there is a way he can summon IP, but that involves like getting rid of 2 cards in his hand. So I'm not sure if he's gonna opt to do that. It's Appaloosa comes down. Is he going to summon the Block Dragon back and then end on IP, or is he just going to pass on this board?
So if he doesn't make anything with the Gigantes, it's a bit weird to summon it.
I definitely agree with this. Looks like he is. Oh, he's bad. He's playing
Whoa.
double Gigantes.
That's really
Interesting.
interesting.
What
Yeah,
are your
now
thoughts
it's
on that?
easy hit play. I don't know, it's kind of weird because Gigantes is really good to search. And like obviously in a hand like this, where you have Gigantes plus combo, so you get 2 at the to make your board with, it's really strong. Just so bricky.
I definitely agree with this. I feel like a lot of
Yeah, I
things
got
that
one more.
rock decks have been playing, like Access Code, and like Double Gigante, Sweeping Idol, these kind of cards, they just feel like very unnecessary in the deck. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He didn't summon back the Block Dragon after summoning the IP, which like tells me he either doesn't have an Earth monster in his hand, or like he's very adamant on keeping the cards in his hand.
Yeah, I think his last card in hand is a Researcher and 1 Unknown. So assuming it's probably a hand trap. He didn't want to discard the hand trap for Unicorn.
That makes sense. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
That sounds fair, yeah. Right, so Natsu starts with normal summon Tracer. He's probably going to threaten battle phase here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's really much of anything you can do about that.
Yeah, I mean I can see Nuts breaking this board if he has a lot of engine, honestly.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Especially summons Absolutor. Okay, this is
That's really
really
strong.
good actually. Yeah. This game is very winnable at this point actually. Would you have Unicorn the Tracer on the summon?
I don't think you can. So awkward.
Yeah, that's fair. I
Because to
think I
get their
agree with
battle
that.
phase, you lose a negate. But if you use IP, you lose a negate.
Oh my god, is that not going to resolve Striker Dragon? Does this mean he has Boot Sector Launch in his hand? That's awful.
Oh, there.
Alright. So I think Ben has to negate the Boot Sector Launch here, right? Because like if you don't negate, not the Boot Sector Launch, sorry, Striker Dragon, because like if you search Boot Sector Launch here, and then you force out the Omni negates, Boot Sector just becomes a Soul Charge, which is really
Yeah, I
really
agree.
strong.
You just have to negate it here.
Yup, that's fair. But now Noctivision resolves, which is just an extra dragon, and he's going to get so much advantage now after linking these two off.
Yeah, not ending on a Dweller is going to be potentially really relevant here. Just getting off the Router and the Noctivision.
Yeah,
lot
this
of
is one
pluses.
of these hands where Dweller actually does a lot to this deck. Because like,
Yeah,
some
most of the
some
time it just
hands
doesn't
get
do anything.
destroyed by Lancia, some hands get destroyed by Dweller, but like typically the hands that this deck generally opens can full combo through either of them on average. That's just happened to open one of these hands where Dweller would have been really, really strong.
I'm really interested to see if that last card in hand is a hand trap. Potentially be really relevant here. It's having one more negate could be what makes it.
I think it's fair to assume that it is a hand trap, right?
Yeah, I would definitely think so. I think if it's not a hand trap, you just always summon back the Block Dragon.
Do you agree with Gabe's Chainlink order here? He went for Chainlink 1 Romulus, Chainlink 2 Nocto, and then Chainlink 3 Router. Do you not think it would have been better to just Chainlink 1 Nocto, Chainlink 2 Romulus?
What's the difference?
The difference is that you take out the target for... You don't draw...
Yeah.
You take out the target for Romulus before drawing a card.
I guess it just determins on what your hand is. If you want to draw the Ravine or the Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that being correct in a lot of hands.
Makes sense. Something really interesting here is he still hasn't like gone to the battle phase to try and threaten IP, but like I think it makes sense because if Ben elects to use IP, he has to link off an Appaloosa or a Savage, which is not very good for him.
Yeah, he really... There's just not a good chance to use the IP.
So Phalanx comes down, and now Link Cross is going to hit the field, I think. Yep. You definitely Appaloosa this, right?
Yeah, I think you Appaloosa everything you can. Especially when all the monsters on Nets' field are so small, so you can't just stack over anything.
He allows Link Cross. That's very interesting. Assuming a Metal Marcher will come down here. There we go. Alright, so this is the first Appaloosa negate.
Seems kind of weird to negate, yeah? At that point, you could have just negated the Link Cross.
I think I can get behind why he does this. He does this because, like, this means that there is a useless token on the field if Nets has no extenders. But like at the same time, if Nets has no extenders, he's not winning this game, I think. So I definitely think that negating Link Cross would have made more sense here. Maybe Ben was just afraid of what Nets might have.
What does he make here?
I'm assuming Hulky Fibrax.
This thing wants to make it into the Appaloosa.
Yeah, I mean, if he summons Fibrax, it's negated. If he summons the generic Dragon Link 2 Protector one, that's too small. So, alright, so he does opt to go for it. Alright, this makes a lot of sense now. He banishes it to summon Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon.
That's a really good summon. Just forces everything out if it needs to.
Yep, that's very true. Still not looking really good for Nats because his opponent still has a lot of interruptions.
Yeah, probably Unicorn back the Darkness Metal. He still has a Savage Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, you have to here, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to let it go.
Yeah, okay, so we'll see if he does that. But at this point, Nets has 2 unknowns in hand and Tracer, right?
I believe so.
Mhm.
Yeah, that should be it.
Actually, my bad. I think he searched the rocket recharger off.
Oh yeah, he did. You're right.
Yeah, so that actually might be pretty strong here because if Nuts gets to summon a second Striker Dragon here, he will be able to abuse Rocket's Recharger's effect to just bring back 2 dragons on the field, which will help him to link Liebig to Carrier and a Dark Monster to equip the Dark Dragon, sorry, to equip the Buster Lock.
Yeah, that'll be really strong if it comes to it.
Right, so he does use IP here. Probably Unicorn, shuffling back the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. He's going to keep the Savage on the field, which I definitely agree with. I think that makes a lot of sense. Right, so it was a Nibiru.
Whoa.
Oof, that's a really good card. I think you have to Savage this, right? Because
Yeah. If we get to
Yeah, you get-
Striker Dragon. Really bad spot.
Would you have discarded the Nibiru there? I mean, we think we said that his last card in hand should be a Researcher. So wouldn't you discard the Researcher instead of the Nibiru?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Because it's a bit awkward, because if you summon the Nibiru and you discard the Researcher, then you have no follow-up play next turn. Because you summoned back the Black Dragon, but then I don't believe he had anything in the extra deck to link into. So we would need to top deck a monster, but the odds on that are really high.
He did have something. He needed like he had the Union Carrier, so he did have an option.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely think discarding the Nibiru there was really questionable.
Yeah, like you just Nibiru your opponent, you have a Nibiru on your field, and then you can just link off Nibiru and Block Dragon into Union Carrier, right? Because they're both rock monsters.
Yeah. You just build a combo out from there.
Doesn't end up
Ended up
mattering
not
too
mattering.
much.
Yeah. Scoops it up.
Alright, so Nets will get to go first here. Something very important here is that Nets revealed what his deck is. I mean, his opponent already knew what he was playing, but he did decide to play through. So assuming they didn't know what they were playing, then this would actually make siding for Ben way easier.
I don't know, I think it's kind of tough for Nets. I think it's easy to guess what he's playing from playing so many online tournaments.
So Nets goes first after losing the first game. The Rocket deck's pretty consistent, so this should be a pretty good end board by him, unless he gets met by a lot of hand traps.
Definitely not the card you want to discard, but shouldn't end up mattering.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the card you want to discard, but it's definitely a card you want to draw, right? The Chaos Space.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, him discarding a hand trap might just be telling us that his entire hand is extenders, which is really, really scary. Alright, so actually retract that comment. I don't think he has that many extenders since he chain blocked it so that his Collapse Serpent resolves before the Striker resolves
Yeah.
after the Striker Dragon, which means that I don't think he has that many lines of play here.
Yeah, this could be a really awkward hand.
It's very true. He will get a draw off the Chaos Space here, which might end up changing some stuff. So since his opponent was thinking on the Striker Dragon, it's fair to assume that he has an Impermanence or a Veiler here, right?
I definitely think so, but I don't know, that was weird. You definitely, I don't think you would think on the Striker Dragon.
Yeah,
A
like
weird spot, hand trap.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's like correct to hand trap Striker Dragon because unlike like the old rocket decks, the new rocket decks don't really play a heavy rocket engine. So adding boot sector launch doesn't really do much until you access Tracer off Ravine or Brotar, depending on what you go for. So hand trapping Striker Dragon is a bit weird. And also like there are just obviously just way better choke points that you can hit, like a Romulus that's coming down here. So we'll see if this gets hand trapped.
Yeah, hitting Romulus is normally really strong.
Yep.
Just lets it go through. So I'm thinking you might have just not even had a hand trap. I just been bluffing it.
Yeah, that's also very fair to do here. The one hand trap that he might still have is the Nibiru. Maybe he has Impermanence and Nibiru, in which case you can just hold it until the very end of their turn, honestly.
Yeah, that would be extremely strong.
Yeah, I mean, he would need to know how to time it because if Nets plays it safe, he might opt to summon Appaloosa instead of a Heradic Seal. So then Impermanence Nibiru won't be able to do much. However, I think like if you do have Impermanence Nibiru, it's reasonable to just like resolve it on the summon of LP.
Yeah, at that point. You aren't getting everything, but you're getting enough to just close out the game most times.
Very true, yeah. Like you typically want to Nibiru the deck after they summon, like if you have Impermanence and Nibiru, you want to Nibiru them after they summon the Halki Fibrax because once like they burn through Halki Fibrax and Romulus, they can't really play through unless they have two extenders in hand. In which case, like two hand traps weren't going to do anything to begin with. Opponent is thinking on the effect of Metal March. He gets
With
met by the
Ghost
Ghost
Ogre.
Ogre. Alright, that's the hand trap we weren't talking about. Alright, so I think
That's
we
not
talked
what I
about this
expected.
yesterday, right? We said that Ghost Ogre is a very underrated hand trap right now. We do see it
Yeah,
coming
it's
down here.
really underplayed.
I think it's pretty good, honestly.
How do you feel about ogering right here?
I can understand it. However, I feel like maybe just ogering Romulus would have been way better. I don't know. Maybe ogering Divine Lance. Yeah, ogering Divine Lance actually sounds correct. Oh no. Alright, so Boot Sector is resolving. Yeah, that's also another good card to Ogre. I'm going to assume that the only hand trap Ben has is the Ogre, because if you have another hand trap, you would probably want to hold the Ghost Ogre for something like a Boot Sector, um, perhaps use it preemptively on Striker Dragon, or, sorry, not Striker Dragon, Divine Lance. This is very weird. Alright, so LP is coming down. The Protector Whoop is probably going to be summoned here as well. And now Nets just gets to play with his deck, which is what he would have wanted to do at the start of this game.
Yeah,
when
there's
he-
no Nibiru coming down. It's looking really good for Nets.
It's very true. Yeah, I mean, the Buster Luck is just more than enough to win this matchup, so he's probably going to just set it up and have a couple of more interruptions and just call it a day and then go to game 3 perhaps. When he activated Boot Sector Launch, we saw him summoning 2 Rocket Monsters, which just tells us his hand was awful.
Yeah, his hand must have been really bad. You
Mhm.
really don't want to
Some-
be drawing very many rockets.
Something interesting to note though, he went for Chaos Space Discard Veiler instead of Chaos Space Discard Recharger or Synchron. That sounds a bit different to what I think I would have done.
Yeah, I don't really see the point. It's a bit odd. It's
Yeah,
just really free to discard a researcher, a recharger, or synchron. Not really doing much in hand. Even getting a 2 summons off the boot sector. Didn't end up doing too much here.
I mean, maybe the way he saw it was that, well, first of all, maybe he sided out the other rocket level 4, so he doesn't have like a reliable way to get into Savage. Or he just decided that if his Striker Dragon were to resolve, he's just going to have infinite dragons, so he can play through everything. In which case, he can just, discard the Veiler and not worry, because if Striker Dragon resolves, he has to force combat through whatever, no matter what.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be his reasoning.
Right, so he goes for the Pisty here, the other Guard Dragon. Probably reviving a Tracer. Yup.
Yeah, now it's really just down to if that Nibiru is in hand.
That's true. However, if he does have Nibiru, Erratic Seal will trigger, which can get a Barotar, search a Levianeer, and then the Levianeer can loop 1 card of his opponent's hand. And then he has to play with 3 cards, which I mean, at Emancipator can definitely play with 3 cards in hand, it's just not optimal.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of combinations. You drew that.
He elects to destroy the Boot Sector launch off Tracer instead of the token. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure how much the token's really doing here. I guess it gives you a link material for next turn.
Yeah.
Not sure how much that matters.
Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. I just feel like after turn 1, Boot Sector Launch is just a very incredibly strong card. Because it's
Yeah, I
either
definitely
going
agree.
to, like, help you win through whatever your opponent establishes after somehow breaking your board, if they manage to do that, which is unlikely, obviously. Or it's just going to be fuel for your hand if your hand is rocket monsters. And in a deck like this, you can just add back the rocket monsters from your graveyard anyway. But at the end, he decides not to. He drew the Buster Whelp, which is really unfortunate, but it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, his opening hand, not good.
Not at all. Doesn't matter though. He ends up winning this game. The Buster Luck is just too strong against that Emancipator, right? Like, it's
Yeah, I
actually
agree.
impossible to out.
How do you feel about summoning Savage and Defense?
I understand
Demand
why he
that.
did it. I think he was doing it to just like ensure that there is no way Tackle Crusader is ever going to resolve. But it would have played into a Lightning Storm, so it's a bit questionable. Also, Dino Wrestler Pankratops, you know.
Yeah,
What
Pinkertops
if-
is a big card.
Yeah, Pankratops would have been really, really big there. So I think I would have probably summoned it in attack. But I definitely see the argument for summoning it in defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think the odds of your opponent siding in Lightning Storm versus your combo deck is pretty low.
Yep, I agree with that.
I think Pinkertops is pretty common right now. It wouldn't have mattered there since he had the spear. But maybe something like Dark Roller and Pinkertops. Just losing two for no reason.
Right, so something really good for Ben here is that he will probably get to go first in game 3, but Nets plays a lot of hand traps. So I think it's going to be a matter of hand comparisons.
Yeah, we'll see if he draws enough hand traps.
Yep.
That's always a scary thing with Rock. Sometimes you can draw 3 hand traps, just not enough.
Yeah, but sometimes you
so
just open
resilient.
a Doki hand and then you cry.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see what happens here.
Yep. So he goes first, obviously. Nothing surprising there. Let's see what he starts with. Unexpected Die, the best card in the deck.
It's always good to start with.
Card is insane. You know, I keep telling people that they should ash this card, but they think I'm joking. But I'm like serious. If you have multiple hand traps, please ash Unexpected Die. The card is insane.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's a Tahara as well. Wait, no, he summoned both a Tahara and Trumpeter from his deck by a mistake. Right.
Odd misclicks. Pretty normal on DB.
Yeah, that does happen. We're just gonna have to pull up the logs. It seems to have been sorted out. He does end up having the Atari anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright, so Angel Trumpeter and Atar, really good start. He ends up not being able, not having a level 4 in hand, otherwise he would have normal summoned it and gone into Gallant Granite. Goes into Firebrax anyway instead, and Nets is thinking on Firebrax, so he might have an interruption for it.
Yeah, now having another 4 is really unfortunate. You really want to make Granite there. Now if the Fiber gets hand trapped, you're in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, I mean, you could just have Block Dragon anyway, so it might not end up mattering.
Yeah, if you have Block Dragon, almost no hand traps matter.
Okay, so Halky Fabrics gets asked. Van sets one card, and this probably means he ends his turn. Yup.
Yeah, that's rough.
So Nets is free to play the game now. Starts with Chaos Space. That's always a very good start. This card's a Phantasm.
Yeah, he might actually just have like 3 disruption. Because there's very few cards there that you don't just normal summon aren't hand traps. So I definitely expect him to have a good amount of disruption here.
Yeah, there's an Ash coming down, so that's one.
Set's probably an impermanence.
Yep, I was about to say that. I think it's very fair to assume that it's an impermanence. Maybe something like Called by the Grave, but I don't think that's possible because he didn't Called by the Grave the Ash Blossom, right?
Yeah, you definitely would if you had it.
Yep.
Should be an impermanence.
He normal summons Phalanx, which is very unfortunate. That's definitely not a card you want to draw in the Rocket deck, but that's one of the drawbacks to this Rocket deck, honestly. There's just a lot of cards that you optimally don't want to see. However, like, all the small dragons that are considered bricks are still Striker Dragon, so it's not that bad, but they're just not optimal.
Yeah, definitely not optimal.
Striker Dragon ends up resolving here, which is this might be really good for Nets actually. Maybe just like last game, he has just a handful of rocket monsters.
Did he pass?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
So he has no plays.
It's gonna be a really interesting game.
I mean, who do you think is favored at this point?
I definitely think Nets has more draws. But if the Rock deck just ever draws Block Dragon in a situation like this,
Researcher is a good start. That's 1/3 of a Block Dragon. So we'll see how this goes.
ooh, sees a Doki Doki. That's really good.
We do see that he's playing Called by the Grave. Do you think? Well, we talked about this yesterday, where we agreed that I don't think Called by the Grave is necessarily optimal in a deck like Rock. You can just like play more extenders, right?
Yeah, I definitely think drawing Extender is better than drawing Called.
Yeah. This might just be game, but since that's passed, there's also like a good chance that he just has hand traps, right?
Yeah, I would definitely assume he does.
I think that's fair.
Because I think if you have utter like Dragon normal summons, I don't think you would normal summon the Phalanx.
Yup, because if you have a play without normal summoning the Phalanx, you can just normal summon the other dragons and then use Romulus' second effect, which summons the Phalanx from your hand. Goes for a Link Cross here, so he's going to threaten Herald, so a Phantasmic comes down. That's actually probably the best hand trap he can have here, right?
Yeah, definitely. Let's try to draw to a better hand.
It's almost always part of greed in this deck. You're either shuffling back a bad card, or your hand is insane. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll just see if the Union carrier for Black Dragon gets a resolve. Assume is what he's going for.
I mean, it might be a bit awkward if he doesn't play Link Spider, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be really awkward.
It sounds like the Angel Trumpeter. Maybe he's going for a Herald here and then a Raptite, or maybe he just overlays the Herald and the Trumpeter for a Granite. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it just determines how passive he wants to play this. Is he going for the granite? Oh, I think going for the granite would lose the Nibiru, but I guess he would have already activated it.
Definitely would have already activated it.
Oh
Alright,
wow,
Nets
scoops it
picks
up.
up his cards.
Wow.
He scoops. It's very unfortunate. He ends up losing this. However, maybe he still gets to be in the final. I think they did end up winning the 3v3 leg overall. Yep. his
Yeah,
team
I would
won.
think he would only scoop there if his team had already won.
That's fair. So, the finals are going to happen soon. We have one half of the final that's already decided. The Disciples, and apparently they are going to be playing against team the 2-meter rule, which means that the luxury team did end up losing their top 4 match. So we'll see how that goes. I think Orion and myself will not be around for the finals, so that's been it from us this weekend. It was very nice to commentate, and shout out to my friends, shout out to my team S7, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in any next potential events. Orion, do you have anything to say?
No, it's been a great weekend. Yeah, tournament's been really nice. It's always fun to play and watch team tournaments. It's a really interesting dynamic.
It's very
Shout out
true.
to my team, Frozen Card Gaming, of course.
Best
Check us
team.
out on Facebook and YouTube. Even if Tristan isn't on our team anymore.
It's fine, bro. It's fine. We still have you, best player.
Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah.
Alright, guys. Take care, and stay tuned for the finals.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the final of the YOS 3v3. Here we are with our top two teams. This is the Disciples and alongside them the 2 meter rule.
What a name.
Yeah, what a name. So here's Aaron helping me with the commentary for this final round. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm very tired.
We had a
Other
pretty
than that,
exhausting day yesterday, but
yeah,
here we
had
are.
a really busy day yesterday.
Today's been a lot smoother.
I mean, there's only about
It's only
matches,
14.
so, yeah, we can't go that wrong. Hopefully.
Once again, we have Gabe on the feature. This is because we wanted to try and bring you guys some interesting decks for the final round. Interesting thing to note, as you've probably already seen, all of the Disciples team is playing a Rocket variant for this event. Who do you think is the most skilled with it?
Probably Gabe. Just from what I've seen, but then again, I don't really know much of the Disciples apart from Gabe. That probably biases my view on that, I'm afraid.
Well, we got some interesting news coming out from them. I believe tomorrow they're making an announcement of some interesting stuff going on. So be sure to check out their Facebook page and their various social media channels to stay in touch with that information.
I wonder what that could be.
Looks like Andrew, who's our player at the top, he's not super familiar with all of these cards, so he's just having a bit of a read through to make sure that he gets the right effect off at the right time, which is fair enough. I don't think our event had a massive rocket uptake.
4, I believe, off the top of my head.
Yeah, something like that. 4 out of 54, so...
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a percentage.
Yeah.
I think there was, about 4 variants of Rocket. I think maybe 2 of those were the FTK with Akapapisku. So I don't think it's that major.
Yeah. Not at least not for this event. What was the big deck for this event? It was Adamantipator, was it? I believe so.
Adamantipator take up, I think it was 14 of the total lists.
Yeah, which is pretty hefty.
Yeah, it's huge. It's just under a third, something like that. If my maths is right.
Yeah.
A bit less, a bit more. Yeah. It was yeah, but that's sort of what we've seen from all of the other YOSes as well. We saw Eldritch had a bigger representation in the first 2. Obviously, I don't know what's happened to the Adamantipator players this game, this tournament, but not the Adamantipator, the Eldritch players. I don't know where they've gone.
People have realised that the deck is either too good or not good enough for this kind of event.
Can a deck be too good for an event?
Yeah, of course it can. If a deck is too good, you don't want to play it because then nobody supports you.
I mean,
So it looks like they're having a bit of a discussion here because Andrew wants to activate Phantasme as Chainlink 1 and Imperm as Chainlink 2. But I don't think they've communicated that properly, so what's going to happen is Chainlink 1 is going to be Andrew's Phantasme, followed by Chainlink 2, Ash on the Phantasme, and then Chainlink 3, the Imperm, will resolve, and that will be the lot from there.
Looks correct. But he's Ash in the Phantasme.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so that's going to have to slot in as Chainlink 2 here, which still makes sense and is a perfectly valid chain, so they should be able to proceed with play from there. So I think it's interesting how Gabe, Tristan, and Connor have adapted this Rocket deck for a particular format. Because I mean, when it was super unknown, they were just like, let's abuse the fact that we can FTK with this deck, and let's just do that and make it as consistent as possible. And if you've already seen it, or if you haven't already seen it, you should go and check out the Disciples channel and their video on the maths behind the FTK deck that was assembled, which I believe was a 60 card list.
Yes, I believe top of my head, yeah.
Whereas right now we can see Gabe is actually running a 50 card list, So it's not designed based on those previously determined optimal FTK ratios. Because the deck is trying to perform a different function, it means you can play a smaller main deck count and then include some hand traps.
Yeah. So what do you think of cards like Chaos Space from Toon Chaos? Because
Well,
personally, I think these are silly.
I mean, I think Chaos deserved to have something busted. I think it's just a bit awkward that it's come into a format where it also helps an existing very strong deck already. Like, Rocket proved how good it was in a lot of the big American events. And then all of a sudden it gets Chaos Space as well. That seems like a bit much to me.
Like I said, we're in a bit of the awkward sort of format as we've discussed before, that we sort of don't have a list or any sort of official tournaments to balance out potential overpoweredness in the game, which is a bit awkward. But it does lead to some interesting decks.
Well, people are always going to get creative at some point.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that the Rocket deck didn't really dominate the format. Like, we've essentially had the same format for several months, right? Like 3 or 4 months.
It's Adamantipator, and then Eldritch variants, but it's usually Eldritch Synchro just because of how broken Halky
Fibrex is,
yeah. But with that, I mean, that's sort of accepted just because at this point you don't really need it sounds really silly, but the Eldritch is just a secondary engine to the turbo Halky Fibrex, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Something to give you some decent recursion that doesn't rely on your normal summon and doesn't use more link monsters, so you don't have to worry about the restriction of the Auroradon.
Yeah, exactly, it's a bit weird though, because you're looking at it's weird because the way I see it, Adamantipator sort of need the Halky Fibrex combos to end on a board where Eldritch don't, which I thought that would give them the advantage. Obviously, to be contended as the best deck, but I guess I was wrong on that one.
Okay, so Gabe brings out the Tracer here. I mean, he's already essentially had to stare down 3 potential hand traps. I don't believe we know what was shuffled away with the Levy in here, so the Fant could still be in the hand. And Andrew could literally be on 1 card here to try and break whatever board Gabe is assembling. And it looks like he's going to be in a pretty strong position.
Yeah, I mean, we have to think about the Phantasma may have been shuffled, but we probably would have seen another hand trap by now. But then again, it doesn't really matter just because of the fact that the Appaloosa is there. Like, he's playing he's got potentially have 3 cards, and he's playing through 3 negates. Like,
But you can you can generally force at least one of those negates, right?
True, but if you only got 3 cards to force 3 negates, then you're down 3 cards with no board.
Depends how good those cards are. We'll just have to see what Andrew can pull out of his deck.
Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, Alistair the Invoker.
You've seen Andrew's got a 42 card list here.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
That's
I wonder if the mass behind that is on the same par as the Disciples mass for the 60 card previous list and the 50 card list this time around.
I, for some reason, doubt that.
You never know.
I saw the Disciples math video and just thought these guys take this far too seriously. Like, in the nicest way possible.
I actually made a similar thing a while back to check consistency of a deck. Where you'd feed it a deck list and a list of combos that leads to your optimal end board kind of thing.
There are tools out there to do that though, so nobody needs to really make them.
Yeah, it just depends on how complicated your combos are and whether the requirements are difficult to achieve. Most of the time, you can just use a geometric calculator, hypergeometric calculator.
We have specifically built them. There are tools like that on the YuGiOh organization. We do have those for people to view, so you can go and view those. Shout out to the YuGiOh organization.
We'll have to find a link.
You don't need a link for the YuGiOh organization. Just Google. If you see any news story, the YuGiOh organization has probably posted it. So there you go. There are tools on there.
What do you think Gabe is going to end on here?
So we could probably see he's going to end on obviously the Appaloosa. He can easily go into a Boral and Savage Dragon at this point. And then we've also got the Herald. So it's, like I said, it's 3 negates for 3 cards.
If you're Andrew, do you not just scoop at this point?
So I'm looking at Andrew's list. Maybe. Because there are sort of these 1-card combos, because obviously we featured Andrew before, I'm sure we have at this point. So there are some of these 1-card blowouts, however, again, he's playing through the potential, does he draw one of these 3-card blowouts? Because if I, like we discussed before, obviously we're not in any sort of, massively time restricting rules, yeah? So, the issue with it is does he give away, does he try and stall down the time to potentially be able to, use one of his other cards to, I mean, I've just seen a destruction sword as well, like, why, yeah, scoop, Andrew. Scoop.
Well, let's see what he does.
No.
He might look at the top card. He's just having a quick think there. I mean, he does have his team available on hand to chat with him and figure out if he has a way to out this board. Because it's 1 generic negate and then some monsters, one of which has at least 1 negate. Like,
yeah, but so the Andrew is actually playing.
Oh no! Don't say because I.
No. Andrew is playing. He's main decking Dark Rulers. I can say that.
Okay. Well, because we've seen them already.
So he's seen a dark. He could potentially see a Dark Ruler no more, and then obviously Andrew.
No, he hasn't got it.
Okay, so he didn't see a Dark Ruler no more. So what we're looking at is, Andrew was sort of hoping to see one of those Dark Ruler no mores, didn't, and then scooped, which is fair enough in that sort of state.
So we know the list already. I'm not sure if the stream knows yet, but based on it, do you think he would go first or second?
So based on the list, it is potential. The deck is standard to go second. The deck does standardly go second just because it is a quote OTK deck. However, I have had experience playing this deck, not necessarily with some of the stuff Andrew is playing, but it can easily go first, very easily. There are certain cards in his side deck which allows him to go first easier, and obviously some of his extra deck monsters do allow him to put up some sort of negate in the turn 1.
I just don't. So, interesting point. Andrew was actually in the final game that was going on for the 5th round of Swiss, which lasted, which was significantly longer lasting than the rest of them, and it was very back and forth of very few cards.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe, even if he goes second, he does have the option to just somehow blow out through whatever Gabe produces, to be honest. But it is very difficult to deal with generic negate plus Buster Lock.
I think every deck struggles to generic negate plus Buster Lock.
Yeah.
I don't really know that many decks that can out generic negate plus Buster Lock, because Dark Ruler no more doesn't stop with Buster Lock, which is obviously the blanket negate for a lot of things in this format. Just doesn't stop it, so you need Buster Lock plus some sort of back row removal or some sort of spot removal, which is relatively hard when you can't special summon, so you have to open one of these back row removal sort of objects.
Yeah.
So Andrew is going first, which we see followed in the chat with a "What's up?"
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, hey, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's big.
Yikes. Yikes.
Wow.
That is
So these players do at this point, they have interacted with each other. They do know what each other is playing, and so even without revealing any of his actual engine, Gabe is pretty aware of what Andrew has.
I'm looking at Andrew's list, and there just isn't a way to stop that. Which I'm quite surprised about, because I thought he would have mained Gammas, but unfortunately he doesn't.
And even Called by the Grave here would be something, but he just has to set pass.
He doesn't play Called by the Grave either in his list.
This could be a very quick win for Gabe on this side.
Oh!
Oh, hey!
Oh,
Oh no! Oh, wow.
So these were sort of the cards I was talking about that allows Andrew to go first. One of them I was talking about would have been Artifact Sanctum, and then obviously backed up by one of his extra deck negate cards, that would have been a quote near enough game.
But there's
having
Ash there.
having the Lancia Ash was sort of these are the cards I need to win this game, and when the cards quote I need to win this game.
Do you think it's pretty insane that Gabe just happens to draw one of his 3 of Ashes?
Not really.
Where's the 50 card deck?
I mean, we have to understand he's open Lancia and Ash.
Yeah.
So that must I don't know what the percentage is there. Probably,
And Safer, which is 1 card combo.
is that under 25% for just the hand traps?
It's small. Let me grab
What,
the
for
card.
opening 2 of the different hand traps in a 50 card deck?
Yeah.
Really?
Let me grab the thing. I'll grab the stats. I mean, he did have 6 cards, I guess. So you have a 9%. Oh, wait, hold on, that's wrong. You have a 9% chance of opening 1 3 of alongside one other 3 of with a 6 card hand and a 50 card deck.
My math isn't good.
So yeah, I mean you'll do it 1 in 10 games, sure. It just happens that
mean-
game is the final, and here's the Mourner for the
It's a pretty
Striker
good-
Dragon.
Pretty good 1 in 10 game.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Ghost Mourner? I think Ghost Mourner at the start was very underrated. Obviously now we see the prices sort of shot up. So what do you
Yeah.
think about the cards? I thought it was very underrated.
So I think it's reached the point at which it's starting to hit overrated territory again, which is a bit like annoying because it means it's hard to pick them up now.
Yeah, they are something like €25, €26, something like that.
Yeah, so it's gone from being like potentially a budget hand trap to just not being. And I mean, even if you read the card, it's still basically budget Veiler. So you kind of hope that's reflected in the price.
Yeah, they were something like, I think about £12 on release. So about, we're looking at like €10, well, not €10, about €12, €13. So
Mm-hmm.
they are looking at that. But obviously they've doubled since then.
Yeah.
But you are right, it is a budget failure in a sense.
I mean,
it doesn't need to be chained to anything, I don't think.
yeah,
It doesn't need
it's
to directly be chained to it, so. I mean, well done, he's taking 1,200 damage potentially, sorry, 1,000 damage because it was used on the Striker Dragon, but to me that doesn't justify it. But...
mhm.
And the fact you need a clause if you put special as a monster, you can do this.
Yeah, that's the really problematic part of the card.
That's maybe I'm just silly, but I don't understand why people aren't playing Veiler.
They are,
Is-
aren't they?
But instead of people are playing Mourner instead of Veiler. Why am I missing something?
I don't know. It's a level 3. It's
Whoa.
wind. It's zombie. I don't think any of these things saves you.
I don't know. I might just be silly.
1800 defense. It means that when your opponent normal summons DD Crow, they can't attack over it.
Oh, wonderful.
Genius.
Relevant.
But it's even worse because, like, technically Vela means that you can play Celine, and you can do the 1 card into a Link 4 type combo without having to use like a proper main deck engine.
Yeah, you can, it's the access code talk combo, isn't it? Because we
Yeah.
saw that in Striker.
Yeah, exactly.
In the last YOS, yeah.
Whereas with a zombie, you can't do that. So I'm not
No,
too
you're
sure.
alright, yeah. I don't know. Maybe we're just silly. Maybe we're just not on the level of these guys. Maybe we're just missing each
If you've got an explanation for why you should play Morna instead of Vela, please do let us know in the stream chat.
I mean, I'm past my prime these days, so like, I don't know anymore. I stopped caring. Like... So we're
It's
just
okay.
going through the standard Dragon Link combo, which, to be fair, isn't that exciting to watch. But he's just gonna
But it's got so many effects activating.
woohoo! I mean, he is just gonna OT Gabe, isn't he?
I don't know. There could be like a really sick hand trap in those remaining 3 cards.
But it can be negated by Herald.
There could be 2 really sick hand traps. Oh, Morna can be used outside of the main phase and on your own turn, says Andres.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
fair enough, it's just it's very difficult to use it
Yeah,
during your turn.
yeah. I mean that is true. However, aren't most of their effects going to be activated during the main phase anyway? Like your opponent's main phase anyway.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. This is game.
I think we're trying to defend a card that just doesn't need help. It's fine.
Yeah, Vela's fine by itself. They don't need us.
Right, how much damage has Gabe got on board right now?
So we have 1,900 in the 2 links. We've got 2,800. That makes it 47 plus the 18.
Hey.
65 plus 600 would be 671.
Okay, so Disciples taking victory here. Unfortunately, we didn't see Andrew's deck in action, which was a bit of a shame. It was an interesting Mech Knight invoked list. What we're going to do is we'll quickly drop off like a minute or 2 while we see if the other matches are ongoing. And then we'll try and come back with those guys in just a moment.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're going to hop right back into it and do a live update of the HUD to keep you guys informed. So, it's not actually Andrew and Gabe anymore.
Nope.
Now it is a match between Patrick on the top and Tristan on the bottom. Tristan Pugh, who has taken on fame for his rocket strategies. Do you think Patrick can get famous for his Adamantipator strategies?
I think we're too developed into the Adamantipator sort of to see anything like that.
So I'm
I
just
think
gonna,
I think we're far too into that.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm just gonna quickly update the visuals for you guys. That is the thing about the 3v3, it's not decided by that single match, so we've still potentially got some stuff going down that could have a big impact on the result here.
yeah, it's decided by basically 3 players play out a best 2 out of 3, and the overall match winners will progress in the team. So even if you win your game, your other teammates could lose their games, and making sure you wouldn't pass on to the Tokka, which is quite depressing. But also, you have to trust the people you're.
You gotta have a good teammate, good teammates to rely upon here. So we can see Tristan's brought out the Magna Rocket Dragon, which I assume will be destroyed, and then we'll later on be able to special summon another rocket, which is fine.
So, but we can see the Union characters have the Buster Sword equipped to it, though, so that's kind of depressing.
Yeah. He still has the Pancratops.
True, but can that not be negated by the Boral Savage unless it doesn't count as that one show?
Yeah, it can here. So I think it's just going to be a resource game. Who can get to their resources faster and start dealing the appropriate amount of damage, etc. There's been a Dark Rule and No More played.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So maybe the Savage is not problematic anymore.
No, so that means the Savage would lose its counters going on to the next turn. So I've just been messaged why Ghost Mauler is good, and it's because if you play it as well as Veiler and Imperm, it means you have 9 Veilers.
True.
That's pretty good.
9 Veilers is good. So, just seeing some messages in the chat. We're not actually aware which game this is because we haven't got that information in the DB chat that we can see. And there's nothing in the Watchers chat on this. We just finished watching Gabe versus Andrew, which Gabe won. And now we're on to the second match that we're following, in which it is Patrick versus Tristan. And we can imagine that Patrick won game 1, given that we know that they've gone into a position where there are potentially sided cards with a Dark Rule No More, and it looks pretty much like Tristan went first for that one, so we believe we're in game 2 here.
We think. It does look so, because I definitely know that Tristan isn't maining Dark Rule No More, so...
Oh no, sorry, the Dark Rule No More was on the other side for Patrick.
Oh, was it? Oh yes, apologies, yeah. Well, I definitely know both.
So,
I think.
Yeah. So a minute ago I was saying it was interesting that Gabe's deck was 50 cards. Is Tristan's list the same?
I'll check that really quickly.
Because I just looked at the graveyard.
Yeah, there are very few variations.
Okay, I just looked at the graveyard and was like, that's 22 cards in there, that's quite a lot.
There are very few variations. There are 6 different cards.
Okay.
That are really cool.
Do you think they'll give him an edge here? I mean, unfortunately it didn't work out for him in game 1.
I mean, to me, it looks like they're all doing the same sort of thing in the nicest way possible. So it looks like it's just different variations to get to that end sort of standard combo.
For sure.
So let me just look up. Yeah, so we're definitely in post game because both players are mainly a Dark Rule last time.
I feel like Patrick is really going to struggle through 3 Material Appaloosa plus Boral, but the thing is, the Appaloosa is weaker than the Pancratops.
Yeah,
but he's banishing 3, he has the Levy in it. Okay, that can out the Pancratops then.
Well, isn't the Boral Savage bigger than the Pancratops anyway?
Yeah, well, I was just I was thinking about it being later in the turn, but that is fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can just.
He can't just proceed.
He can just attack.
Like, yeah, exactly. He can't exactly.
So down comes the Guard Dragon, World Legacy Guard Dragon. Ooh, okay, this is a big link summon. Is he playing Access Code Talker? Oh no, Boral Sword, sorry. All the Borals. Wow. Yeah, this just like has to be game.
That's game. So
Why
I
isn't
wonder,
Patrick scooping?
I don't know. Maybe this is game 3. He doesn't want to scoop. Maybe. Pancratops effect negate by Appaloosa.
Yeah. Surely that's the play, right? So chaining 1 sword, chaining 2 pank, chaining 3 Apollo
Yeah.
to negate.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
we'll go into game 3.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding, the other match in this trio is currently going into game 3, so we don't know whether this one will be deciding the match yet or not. There's still time for us to find out.
It's tense. I like that. I was speaking to some of the participants yesterday, and they were saying that obviously these games were tense because obviously the sort of prize they're playing for, but that sort of tenseness made it a lot more fun. They obviously have to rely on other people, so I think some friendships may be tested in this one.
Yeah.
But
I
I think giving them that sort of like something to play for, to work towards, is really cool.
Yeah. So in case you didn't already know, we do have a £1,000 prize pool available here. With first place getting £450 plus 3 exclusive playmats. We're just waiting for the finalized art to come in on those, and then we'll share those around and you guys can see how awesome they are.
Yeah, very cool.
Here we go with Patrick pulling off his typical Adamantipator starter, having double Adamantipator names, but he doesn't get anything off this researcher, which is really rough for him.
Ouch. What do you think the percentage of not hitting something is of researcher, or hitting something off the first sort of excavate?
Oh, I don't know how many rocks he plays.
A
But
lot.
you just treat it as like a 5-card hand in a 35-card deck, right?
Would she? Would it be a 35 card deck? No.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said 20.
No, 5-card hand, 35-card deck, and you just put however many rocks he plays. I think it's normally like
Yeah.
it's normally enough that you have higher than 90% chance of hitting, or higher than 80% chance of hitting. But
Yeah, something like that. It seems about that sort of rate.
and here we go with Fibrax, and there's no disrupt from Tristan here, so it doesn't look great for him. He hasn't got an imperm. Like, I imagine he would have impermed the Fibrax here. He does have to deal with Guardian though.
He may have Nibiru.
Yeah, but even if he does, it's just turned off from now. It's a bit unfortunate for Tristan there that the Guardian was hit, but very good for Patrick, who's actually in a great position, right? You know, you've won game 1, lost game 2, but you're going first with your deck of choice. You've managed to side deck as you want, and your opponent's not throwing any hand traps at you. Patrick's got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's really, you're in a really good position. But then again, I've watched games today where people have top deck imperm for turn, so a bit of a yikes. But it looks pretty solid. He may have the Nibiru, but obviously that can be negated by the Quackimera Guardian.
Yeah. Oh, just an update. The typically based on the number of rocks in your deck, you'll probably get 75 to 83%. You normally play 8 or 9, 8, 9 or 10 rocks.
That's okay. Yeah.
So thanks Hash for that one.
So he's got double negate now.
Yeah.
No offense to Tristan, but this doesn't look promising.
You say that, but
he may have a Dark Ruler.
Yeah, but even without a Dark Ruler, all you have to really do is trade 1-for-1 with your opponent's board until you start seeing a Dragon Link starter card, and then you're fine, right? Because you have so many special summons that interact with your opponent, or so many special summons that allow you to get advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes into the Cerberus, and here's gonna be a Block Dragon. I mean, drawing Block Dragon, I think there was a time when it was problematic. Now it just seems like super safe because it just means you're in a great spot against various hand traps. Oh, he's getting rid of the Guardian, presumably for Apollo. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, what do you think Tristan can do to out this?
So I mean, outing the Herald is fine. You could just attack over it with a slightly stronger monster, unless there's like an IP setup or something. Outing the Apollo, I don't think it's too difficult because you can probably bait 1 or 2 negates and then commit a decent summon. So it depends on what follows from here, because if it's like, I assume it's going to be IP block. Oh, okay, he might go for a Borreload Savage, and he's still got 4 cards in hand, so he still potentially could do IP block, I think.
Yes, potential. Yeah, he can. He definitely can.
He's got a Doki now, so
yeah, he definitely can.
that's not bad. What's the difference between first and second place prize pool? I think it's £180 plus the 3 playmats is the difference, which is what these guys are playing for currently.
Yes, because it goes 270 to 450 plus mats, I believe.
Yeah, so pretty significant difference between what they get here. So,
I mean, to be fair, getting second is a good sort of way to spend your weekend. So
yeah, playing card games to win 270 quid is not bad.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's just a longer version of poker, isn't it?
Longer, much more convoluted, and you can't read your opponent's face because we're playing online.
Yeah, bit weird. It's interesting. I mean, when I was staring down 3 negates plus the Union Carrier on the Ball Savage.
Is he playing the Buster?
Yeah, he must be.
Wow, yeah, okay, but it's so rough for Tristan here.
He must be. If he's not playing Buster,
I don't see why you'd play the Union Carrier on your Savage Dragon here.
I mean, what can it equip though?
Yeah,
Block
exactly.
Dragon, the
Oh, he's got it in hand.
yeah. But I was going to say the only thing they do equip otherwise from the Union Carrier is actually Block Dragon, because obviously they can't equip Block Dragon, and then it does trigger Block Dragon's effect.
But he'd need an appropriate target for that, right? And I don't think he had a rock.
No, he doesn't.
But he doesn't need it anyway because he's already got one and he's got the Buster, and Tristan has 6 cards to try and break this board.
Okay, so we're looking down a negate off the Boral Savage, which is generic negate. We're looking for a generic negate off the Herald, a monster negate off the Appaloosa anti-card special summon from his extra deck.
Tell you what's good here. Dark Rule no more and then evenly. But I don't think that's going to be something that these guys play.
I
don't think anyone's playing evenly right now.
That surprises me, to be fair. I do like evenly as a card.
So he leads with the Phalanx, which is not big enough to break anything on Patrick's board at the moment.
So I'm looking at Tristan's list.
Tell you what though, because Gabe has finished his match, essentially Tristan and Gabe can team up. And it's the same on Patrick's side. He can team up with Andrew to try and figure out what's the best approach here. But the advantage that the Disciples have is they're all playing variants of the Rocket List, so they've all had a lot of experience with it over the weekend, and right now they can all help each other in understanding the exact scenario in order to make sure that Tristan tries to take this victory, but Patrick is going to do everything he can to stop that.
So I'm looking at Tristan's list. He doesn't play Dark Ruler. The only going second card quotation he has is the Kaijus plus the Lightning Storms. But we know he can't activate Lightning Storm anymore because obviously he's got got cards on the field.
But he has managed to bait one negate with the Monster Reborn, and Patrick is debating whether or not he wants to negate the Boot Sector launch with the Savage. I think this is an interesting one. I don't know if I would negate Boot Sector launch here, but maybe I'm wrong.
Savage can't negate effects, I believe.
No, but I'm just wondering if you'd want to negate the activation.
Okay,
Because
so
it's not live yet.
No, he was attempting to negate, I believe.
Yeah, here's the attack in.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Red MD, it's huge. It's a huge stat. But it looks like Tristan is passing turn on the one Darkness Metal.
So, does Tristan here just link away?
No, Tristan's passed turn, he can't do anything.
Sorry, not Tristan.
Oh, Patrick.
Patrick, does he just link away and get the Water Dragon effect and then carry on?
Yeah, but he's managed to set up that Guardian first, which is nice. It'd be interesting to see if he's gonna. Yeah, he is gonna use the Unicorn effect. He's just thinking it on the target, and he needs to, of course, discard that card. There we go, and he's targeting the Red Eyes.
That is 50, 60, 52, 71.
Does he gain? Does Boral gain attack from the equip as well?
It gains 750, so it would be 670, 850, if my maths is right. Then again, as we've discussed, I'm terrible at maths.
Either way, it's very close right now, but with the 3 cards added off Block Dragon, I don't think Patrick is going to struggle to set up enough damage to take this, unless there's a really good hand trap from Tristan, which somehow beats Boral and Guardian. It seems unlikely.
I'm questioning why he didn't just summon the Researcher. Oh, he's got Guardian, yeah,
Yeah, he's fine.
This is fine. No, I mean, he drew the Guardian off. Sorry, he excavated the Guardian off there.
Make the Axis Code Talker, why not?
Why not?
Some extra damage here.
I mean, he didn't need it.
Not
As soon as he hit that Kokimera Guardian, he didn't need it.
And then the block. I think Patrick's really showboating here.
I mean, I don't know why he's flexing on it.
He has absolutely everything going for
He
him
doesn't
right
need
now.
to. He doesn't need to. He's flexing on him.
Is there anything stopping him from doing damage?
No.
No, there it is. Tristan takes the defeat. So we've seen 1-1 from the matches that have happened so far. Let's just quickly double check if the third one is still going on. And we'll be back shortly after that. Just a moment.
It is still
It
going
is.
on.
Okay, let's jump into it live. I'm just going to change the images and then we'll be back in a moment. Okay, here we are back for the final match, the final game, I believe. And, oh, okay, it looks like it's pretty much over. Unless... So I need to update the visuals for you guys. On the bottom, we have a new profile who dis, which I believe is Josh.
Yep.
From the 2 meter rule. And then
Yep.
on the top, we have Connor. So let me just update the names for you guys and the visuals. Oh, I was wrong. For some reason, I was under the impression that Connor was also playing Dragon Link. My mistake. I think I said that earlier. In fact, it's just Gabe and Tristan who are playing Dragon Link. So they could help each other out. That makes this potentially a little bit more interesting because it means that now that both Gabe and Tristan are done, they're experts in Rocket following this weekend, but we know they've had an enormous amount of experience with Adamantipator previously, so maybe they can just flex that in order to help Connor if he needs any help. To be honest, right now it's looking like Josh needs a bit more help.
It's not looking promising for Josh, let's be honest. What's he got in his graveyard? He's got a Conquistador, a Golden Land Forever, a Cursed Eldland, and a Hequero. But he's facing down a Reptile, Analyzer, and an Access Kotoku.
So the thing is, if Josh can break any part of Connor's board, he should be in a great position, right?
Hopefully.
I'm just checking Connor's graveyard. It doesn't look like he's used his IP yet, so if he has enough stuff left up, he should be fine, to be honest. He has used the Unicorn, though.
I think... Ooh.
Ooh. Have we seen the chat?
I think Josh may have just lost this game because of that.
So
what's happened is he's actually forgot to use Hequero in Connor's end phase.
that puts him in a really bad position because it means he doesn't have access to another Elixir, which
Yes,
potentially could have been enough.
that is... Oh, okay.
So what's he thinking about here? He's just set a card,
I mean...
but in his graveyard he does have a Golden Lord.
So, he has a Golden Lord. I don't think I see any negates.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Oh no, there is a wind monster in the graveyard for Reptile, so it can just banish the Golden Lord.
Oh. But he has to... Oh, is that a quick effect? During your opponent's turn, if a wind monster is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. That is... Yeah, that's decent.
I don't know if you know this, but Metal Marcher is a wind.
Yeah, and people don't normally leave the Raptide up, so maybe it wasn't a case of a mistake or anything like that. It looks like Connor decisively put up Raptide just to act as a DD Crow during the opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Once per turn DD Crow is nice.
Once then DD Crow is very cool. It's really strong against, obviously, like the Dragon Link. It's also really strong against Eldritch, so...
But it looks like maybe he's used it already and we just missed that beforehand, because he's not used it before Josh enters the end phase. Which means Josh is going to get an Elixir set up. Oh, okay. The Raptite is going to banish the Golden Lord.
Is going to banish the Golden,
Golden Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
So these two decks are 100% the staple decks of the last few months. And it's interesting to see that once again they battle it out to reach very high positions in the YOS, making it through to a final, and they're playing it off against each other to decide the ultimate winner of this event.
I think we're in a state where... Oh, wow.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be going right.
Connor's saying GG, but Josh isn't saying anything yet. For all we know, that set card is really good. No, okay.
No.
It looks like Josh is gonna have to take the L here as his Wakera gets hit and destroyed.
Yeah, you can't chain Hequero to...
Yeah, you can't chain to an access code talker. Even if you could, it would still be destroying the set card. I think the pressure is getting to Josh here a bit. So he accepts the game. Connor wins this one, and that means the Disciples win the YOS 3v3. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I think, yeah, we'll just have a quick look at it. What do you think about that? With Adamancipator winning, I mean, pretty decisively over the Eldritch Synchro list here.
No comment, officer, on the status of Block Dragon.
Block Dragon is a good card.
No comment, officer, on the status of Halki Fibrax. I the cards are too good. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
It's just the fact that obviously I was really into the Adamancipator because obviously the artwork and sort of like the whole point of the deck is really cool. But just because they have so easy access to things like, you know, Block Dragon and you know the sort of problem package of Halki Fibrax plus any other tuner.
Yep, and it proves its power once again with another Premier event top. I think, I mean, it's used in combination with the Dragon Link decks that Tristan and Gabe brought to this, and I think that's nice. They had that little bit of flair to their team there to bring in something really solid and storm their way to first place. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We're going to be closing out the stream shortly. Before we do that, I do want to give a huge shout out and thanks to our sponsors for this event, DeGoat Cards, which you can check out in the description, who have a great selection of TCG cards, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh! They've got a massive eBay store, so check them out, and they've got some great prices too. Also Card Market, which you guys obviously know already. It's the biggest European website for buying and selling and trading your cards. And then also Patriot Games, a fantastic UK-based store. They've got a brand new website up now, link also in the description, patriotgames.uk, where you can get all kinds of great information on some fantastic products, including some very nice custom printed mats that they can do at very, very reasonable prices. I think that's going to be everything from us for the YOS 3v3 stream today, and maybe we'll be bringing back the YOS events in the future, just depends on how things go, and we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks very much for watching. Any words from you, Aaron?
Just thank you to everyone who has attended the event. We know we had some issues. Hopefully you guys still enjoyed the event. Thank you to all the judges who dedicated their time to us this weekend. Thanks to all the sponsors, and then thank you to everybody who helped behind the scenes. Because what a lot of people don't realize is setting up an event like this and getting everything sorted is a lot of work. And obviously thank you to YuGiOh as well for having me here. And
No worries.
thank you to you.
Always good to have you.
Yeah, obviously thank you to everyone who helps behind the scenes. I think some of those guys don't get a lot of the credit they deserve, because setting up an event like this is difficult, and we plan these a month and a half ahead every time, and we still are always down to the last minute of sorting out stuff.
Yeah, that's always something that comes up.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you to everyone who helped behind the scenes. These do take a lot of time and a lot of effort to do. So
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for that. Cool. Okay, we'll close off the stream here with some adverts for our sponsors. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all again for another YOS in the future.
bye.